Call to order the Vermilion County Council meeting for February 9th, 2026. If you please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Costello.
Here.
Mr. Somerville. Here. Ms. Brown.
Here.
Ms. James, I'm present. Ms. Furry is not here this evening. Mr. Bose.
Here.
And Mr. Weir.
Here.
Thank you. First item this evening is approval of our minutes for the January 12th, 2026 meeting. Are there any additions, comments, corrections that need to be made to those?
I had one.
Okay.
It was this would be part 5. No, part 7. About halfway down, it says that Costello being me thinks comp time should be paid out the week it's earned. I think maybe I don't know if I said that, but it should say overtime. Overtime gets paid out. Comp time, you can't pay out comp time the week it's earned. That's accrued or it's used. It's not paid out. So something's wrong with that statement. Not a big deal, but I get, and it wasn't necessarily the week it's earned. It should say overtime is paid out on the pay period that it's earned. That was the purpose of the comment. But other than that, I don't have anything else.
Can somebody go back and check that and correct it if needed?
Yeah.
And if I said that, it's wrong. I shouldn't have said it that way. My. I haven't said it before.
Your intent.
I did make a mistake one other time, but this was
Long time ago,
second.
right?
Okay. Ron said they could go back and check it and see.
Yeah,
Correct it if
that's no
needed.
big deal. I just want to make sure it's clear.
Make sure, definitely corrected.
Any other comments, corrections?
I don't know how important it is, but they have the letter that you read at the last meeting. Is that how the name is spelled? M-A-Y-A-N?
No.
I don't know if that's earth-shattering, but
It should, it should be an H.
I don't know how to spell it though, but I don't put it.
And what section is this?
I don't know who it is, so.
Section 10 under new business. Item E, after E actually. At the very bottom. Yeah, that name is misspelled. You see?
The calling?
No.
Heine.
Heine's last name. It just spelled it wrong when it trans.
Yeah, I think everybody knows who it is, but
I had given a copy of that statement. It's on there if needed. There's an extra word in the quote too. Spend is not in there. It should be, they didn't send everything. Spend is taken out.
yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Mr. Somerville, a second from Mr. Costello to approve the meeting minutes from January 12th, 2025 with the corrections stated. Any further discussion? What is it, 2026? Sorry, living in the past. All right, from January 12th, 2020, oh, that's, the top of the minutes say 25. Correct those two. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Minutes are approved.
Did he get that date correction?
Huh? I think so.
Ron, did you get that date correction on that? Okay, okay. I didn't know if you did.
Okay, so it should be. Next in our packet is the treasury report. I'm gonna skip to that one since it's in our packet next. It's on down the list from our agenda, but it's next on the packet. So, are there any questions or concerns, statements for the treasurer's monthly report? Okay, we will move along then. So the packet went in the right order, but our agenda's out of order. Next, we have transfer of funds. The first transfer this evening is in the sheriff's department. It is reporting only, however, it deals with salaries, so I'd like to make sure that we do vote on it. It is a transfer of $4,000 from line 6th deputy to transferring the budget line for 3rd deputy. This is based on their pay for a number of years. They're just, one person's getting paid. It inadvertently was on the wrong line. We just need to switch it from one to the other based on who it is and how many years they've had. Is there a motion to accept that one?
I thought it said reporting only, you need a motion.
It is, but since it's salary, we typically vote on
Okay.
those since
I'll
that,
make a motion to approve it.
we fixed the salary resolution at the last meeting, Denise.
Just follow up items.
Yep.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion from Mr. Weir, second from Mr. Bose, to approve the transfer in the sheriff's line 6th deputy to 3rd deputy in the amount of $4,000. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Transfer is approved. The next transfer also deals with a salary adjustment that we fixed last month on the resolution. There again, the previous amount for extra pay for the jailers and for supervising roles was previously split. They had asked for us to put it back into one line item. So $470 is being asked to transfer from Jailer 2 to Jailer 1. That is in the jail budget and the general fund.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Weir, second from Mr. Somerville, to approve the transfer of $470 in the jail budget from line Jailer 2 to Jailer 1. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no. Transfer is approved. All right, there's another transfer from the West Central Indiana Public Defender's Office. They're asking to transfer a total of $1,818.92, partially from depositions and postage into non-contractual attorney fees. It's additional funds needed to pay non-contractual attorneys. Any questions on that one? That's reporting only. Okay, moving along. The next transfer is also reporting only. The prosecutor is asking to transfer $400 from transcripts to witness fees. It's to cover the expenses for one of their cases, for witnesses in one of their cases. Any questions on that one? It's reporting only. All right, that is the end of transfers tonight. We'll move along to the additional appropriations. The first item for additional appropriation is for the prosecutor. It's in conjunction with that transfer we just had. He's asking for an additional $3,000, sorry, for witness fees. They have 17 cases set for jury trial, and they want to make sure they have these fees available for future trials. They also transferred the money that we just previously heard. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the additional appropriation for the prosecutor's office.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Weir, second from Mr. Bose to approve additional $3,000 for the prosecutor into line witness fees. Is there any further discussion?
Were there 2 of those or just one?
I think we have, it's a duplicate. Everything's the exact same on these. So, the next page.
Missed.
Anything else? Any other comments? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no. Additional is approved. The next additional appropriation is from the Health Department. They received a donation of $200, and they were asking for that to be put into their Health Fund 1159, into their donation fund, so that way they can use that donation. Is from the Carpenters Local 133 for their food distribution. So it's an additional, but it's not our money additional.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Mr. Costello, a second from Ms. Brown, to approve the additional $200 donation fund into the Health Fund 1159. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Additional approved. The next additional appropriation is for the Health Department as well. It is Health Fund 1161. This is part of their funds that we do it's mid-year, so it doesn't follow the normal cycle of budgets. Basically, this is the remaining balance that they have left over for their funds, so they need them appropriated in order to spend them, since their year doesn't end until June. For Health Fund 1161, they have a line item of operating expenses in the total of $1,366.23. These were the ones Wendy was here for last month, but then they didn't get advertised due to the new 14-day notice. So this is what she explained to us last month. Their budgets. And this one's additional funds that they got back from, I think, vaccine. And the other two are the grants, so there's two more additionals behind this one.
Going to operating expenses, is that right?
Yes, this one's going to operating expenses. It's money they've gotten back.
I don't have an issue with it. I'll make a motion to approve $1,366.23
Okay.
from Health Fund 1161 to operating expenses for the health department.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Costello, a second from Mr. Weir to approve the additional appropriation to Health Fund 1161 in the amount of $1,366.23 into line operating expenses. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Appropriation approved. The following two additional appropriations are also from the Health Department. The first one is the FIFER grant, it's the Emergency Preparedness Grant, Fund 8111. It is for the total of $18,400.02 into the various line items. These are the previous line items that had balances at the end of December. There again, this grant does run through June 30th, 2026. So this is what we do every year for them to be able to spend that money into the following year from when they get the grant. And the second one, I guess is one, it's Health Fund 1159 for the total of $181,771.22. We can do them separately or together, it doesn't matter.
I'd like to make a motion to approve both of them.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion for Mr. Weir, a second for Mr. Bose to approve an additional appropriation of $18,400.02 into the FIFER grant, Fund 8111, and an additional appropriation to reappropriate the remaining funds of $181,771.22 into the Health Fund 1159. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Both appropriations are approved. All right, the next additional appropriation is a cleanup of the salary resolution we amended last month. There's an extra page in your packet, so it's just that extra one that says 480, you can get rid of. The total additional appropriation is in the amount of $1,680, $120 in each jailer line item. Again, that is for the salary resolution cleanup that we did last month.
This is for jailer 1 through 14.
That's correct.
And then there's an extra copy here, right?
Yes, the one that says the second page of the additional is a duplicate. There's two of the second page.
I'd like to make that motion, Ashley.
Thank you.
That was a motion, Rick?
Yes.
Yes.
I will second the motion that Rick made.
Okay, I have a motion for Mr. Weir, a second for Mr. Costello for the additional appropriation into the jail budget for $1,680, $120 on each jailer line item. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, state no. Addition is approved. The next additional appropriation is for circuit court and one for probation. They are separate but they are underneath both the general fund. Circuit Court has an overtime of 5,000 and probation 3,000. During budget hearing, we tried to put overtime in each individual budget, and if each office had additional funds, we used it from there. If they didn't, these offices don't have any kind of extra money, so their overtime is coming from the general fund. We just missed putting overtime in their budgets, so that way every office has their own overtime budget.
The intent was to have this, but it wasn't in the budget.
Right.
So, I think it's fair and justified. I'll make a motion to allow for the additional appropriation to Circuit Court of Probation for overtime in their 2026 budget
Okay.
in the amount of 5,000 for the court and 3,000 for the probation officer.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Mr. Costello, a second from Mr. Bose, for a total of $8,000 in overtime, 5,000 to the court, and 3,000 to probation, in their general fund budgets. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Additional appropriation is approved. Our next additional appropriation this evening is for the surveyor supplies. Mr. Mack is here if we have questions. It is in the amount of $1,844.40. I believe this is what you mentioned to us last time out of the perpetuation fund. His description is there for the 10 each sets of the section cornerstone marker monuments, so. Does anyone have questions for Mr. Mack?
Make a motion that we approve these surveyor supplies.
I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mr. Costello, for an additional appropriation of $1,844.40 for the Cornerstone Perpetuation Fund, budget line name for surveyor supplies. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
All right?
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Additional is approved. All right, that is the end of appropriations. We don't have any old business and new business.
Do we still have one more?
Which one? I think that's a duplicate. Oh, no, that one, we did that actually last month.
Okay, I don't remember that.
It was in the plat book fees,
Okay.
so I think that was a crossover from last month to this month. This one's done. Yeah. That was January. All right. On to new business. Tammy, do you mind if I let them do the Hamilton Center report real quick first? Okay. Is Hamilton Center here? Actually,
Nope.
no? Okay. Well, they were on our agenda this evening. They did submit their yearly report. They also were at the commissioners meeting, so if you want to see it live and any questions, but you do have a copy of the annual report. So, and if anything arises, we can contact them for questions. That was really quick.
That was good.
After I said that, I was like, I don't think anyone's here. That's all right.
So I was just looking back to the minutes. There is an additional for 1181 plat book fees, but it's not really broke out. It says part-time. I don't know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. It was included in with Ron's.
Well, Is it in the hot book? I know we put it in there. Let me see. Maybe we put it in auditors. Let me go to auditors. It's in there already, I'm pretty sure.
President and Council, what was the discussion about the $3,000 additional appropriation was? Rick, did you brought that up? I'm trying to just back it up there for a second.
Right. I'm just double checking.
We did that last month?
Well,
I don't remember it, but
I thought we didn't do
did.
any, I thought we didn't do any, or was there one that,
we have that included somewhere. It may not have been flatwood fees. I just looked at it. I don't remember where I saw it.
was there one that advertised, you had to debate on it in December? It was brought up in December, but we couldn't do it because it was in December, and it had to do with 26 budget. So we couldn't do it in January because our meeting was before the advertisement date.
But you'd advertised it in December.
It was advertised in December,
I don't remember, I wasn't.
but we couldn't act on it in December.
We may have already done it in the actual budget.
It's already in the actual budget.
Yeah, so we put it in the budget and they thought they were gonna need the additional last month, but then last month we decided that we didn't need the additional because we'd already put it in the budget. Because there was that confusion with the plat book fees. We didn't advertise plat book fees for overtime and overtime, or part-time help. But
So we didn't have to act on
no,
it. Okay.
that was what happened. It's in the budget. I'm just trying to think of where it's at. Cause we added a line. I know. It is in one of the lines. 'Cause it's on the salary resolution as well. I can find.
Yeah. That's fine. I mean, as long as I just didn't recall
Yeah.
voting on it, so it was acted on differently.
And see,
And
some
that's
of
what
the
I
stuff
wanted to
from
make sure.
January got pushed to February because we couldn't do
Right,
Because of the
advertise it
deadline.
I
because of
remember
the
that, yeah.
state system.
Advertising.
but I didn't remember
I
this one
think-
specifically.
Once we realized it was already in the budget, that
Okay.
needed to be pulled out, but it wasn't.
That's right.
So, okay. It's in there somewhere.
Now I remember.
Yeah, it's been. Alright. Alright, that is the only other item besides for new business, so we'll move on. Tammy's here this evening. She'd like to meet with us.
We don't have, we're not going to-
If you have questions, we can contact them. Or if you want to watch her actually do the presentation, it's on the commissioners meeting. For Hamilton.
I just want to give everybody, my budget. As you can see on there, there's a fourth deputy position listed. There's no money allotted for it. I actually filled out additional appropriation in Ron's office today for this position. I understand that Ashley needs to, or that you guys need to advertise with the state. But I'm here, as I've asked for it, I've asked for my fourth deputy position back at budget time. I came to you guys in a private meeting and discussed my health issues, and I still have those issues. I didn't hear anything after that meeting. I sent you all an email discussing with you my diagnosis that I received from Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. And they let me know that I do have active histoplasmosis in my right lung with the H&M band, which means that I have severe pulmonary stress right now. I was in the hospital last week with this. I missed most of last week, which was time for filing for election. That bothers me. I mean, I know I couldn't help it because I was in the hospital, but I was here on Thursday for a half a day and I was here Friday. I have a mask on today because they've told me that I am very susceptible to getting other infections I do have asthma, which makes it worse. I'm seeing an infectious disease doctor that has got me on antifungal medicines. And they don't know when this will be gone. They said I could have it for months or I could have it for years. And I'm gonna be on this antifungal medicine until I'm treated. It is something that can spread to my organs, my bones. And I feel like I came to you guys and asked for this position because it's warranted. I have a girl that's gonna be going out very soon. She's gonna have a baby. And she's gonna be out at least 6 weeks, possibly longer. We are in the midst of a 26 election, primary election. I'm not sure if I'll be here. I pray that I will be here and that I won't be in the hospital and I won't be having a bad day. So I feel like I've came to you guys and pretty much begged for this position back because it's warranted. My office is one of the busiest offices in this courthouse. We deal with the judge, we deal with probation, we deal with child support enforcement, we deal with the prosecutor's office, we deal with several attorneys, and we deal with every pro se litigant that comes into our office. With all of that we deal with on a daily basis, we have an election in 26, an election in 27, and an election in 28, which is a second job for my office. This position was paid for, and it was in works 13 years ago when Florinda Pruitt was clerk. It was in position and paid for 8 years ago when Amy Griffin was clerk. And it was taken away, I feel like, when I took over. I was appointed in October of 23, October of 23, a month before the city election, that I had to be thrown into and learn in less than a month. So I couldn't put somebody in that position at that time because I was learning. I was learning with the state, I was learning with microvotes, civics, I mean, everything election, plus still doing the judicial side of things. In 24, I hired someone for the 3rd deputy position. She did not work out, and she was fired in December. I then hired someone in 25 that has exceeded my expectations and has done an amazing job. She wants to learn the job. She takes notes. She wants to help with other positions in case somebody's gone. So I have that person. I'm ready for my 4th deputy position now. I have the time. Yeah, I'm in the middle of an election, but I can train someone now. It is impossible to hire someone off the street for this job. It is an extremely, it is a hard job. I mean, it's very difficult. You come in and you have to code. You have to know how to code certain motions and petitions and orders. So they'll go over to the court in our Odyssey queues. The attorneys, they file through e-file and serve. We code everything that they send through every morning. We have hundreds of things that we have to code that goes to the judge. Everything that goes to the judge comes back to my office. I am here, and I understand that this position has to be sent to the state and advertised. But I would like to ask for a vote from all of you tonight on how you feel on this position. I've asked and not got any answers, I feel like, in the past. So and Ashley told me, she said, we could do a vote, but anybody can change their vote in March. And I'm okay with that, because I will deal with that at that time, and I will deal with whoever changes their vote. I mean, that's how important this position is to my office. I mean, I want to ask as a taxpayer, not the circuit court clerk, where are we financially that we can't afford to put these positions back that were there 13 years ago and 8 years ago? Is our county that, are we that bad?
I don't say we're that bad, it's just that other costs have increased for operating costs, and our tax revenue is not increasing at the same amount that our expenses are increasing. And so that margin of extra amount that we do have over the last 13 years has gotten smaller, where we've been operating more closer to, I mean, sometimes we dip into our savings accounts, you know, it just depends on the year when things pop up. So I won't say it's like we can't afford things, but it's the continuation of affording things. Like, yeah, do we have money in our savings account right now? Sure we do. But we also have done that because we've saved money in other years. So to try to compare it to 8 years ago or 13 years ago, it really isn't possible. I mean, we've taken 20% increases on different things where we don't have a 20% increase every year in our tax rates.
I understand.
So
And I do understand.
it is hard to
that, but
compare one to the other.
I do want you all to know, I've been here almost 9 years. I've taken the insurance once. So I have saved the county a lot of money because I don't take the insurance. In that alone, I feel like, you know, that would take care of this position. And I'm okay with, you guys want to say you'll give me that position for 3 years. I'm going to be up for re-election in 28. I might get beat. Let that person come to whoever's sitting on this council at that time and fight for this position. It might be me, it might not be me. But I feel like this position is needed in my office. I know I spoke with Rick Weir, he was in my office. Mr. Costello was in my office, and Mr. Bose was in my office. And I don't know that you saw, I know that when Mr. Bose was in my office, I had to leave an election board meeting to help him. And my other girls were up at the counter helping other people.
Mhm.
That is our daily, and we are answering the phones, and we are doing our jobs on our computers, you know, when we're not helping someone at the counter. My girls work hard every day. There are days that we might not leave for lunch until after noon because there's somebody in there. We're not turning people away. We will help them until we've got them done. We've got them helped. There's days that we have people come in at 10 till 4 and they need to file something. We don't say, oh, you're gonna have to come back tomorrow. We help them because that is our jobs. We were elected by the people, for the people, to do a public service. And I want the council to help me at least do that, be able to make my office work.
So as far as timeline stuff, like you said, that position had been there historically. We did cut it. It was between like the year I think you and Gracie took over. She had left it empty, and you came in, like you said, and then you were appointed. It sat empty for a while, and that's when we did take it out of the budget. And then since then, it has remained out of the budget. The meeting we had with you in December, I think that was when you had first found out. You came to us, and she did bring the problem to us that she was potentially going to be gone for a while. do you still, I think according to the email, you don't anticipate necessarily the surgery that you thought maybe was going to happen?
I don't know at
Okay.
this point.
So, I think some of us were waiting to hear back furthermore on like how you
It's
thought
a,
you would be gone.
it's a not no game.
I know,
for
and
me,
I apologize,
really.
no one replied in email, however, we can't make decisions through emails either, so we can't say, hey, I'm sorry, we can do this for you, we can't voice a decision through an email. As far as we're getting back to you, I apologize, we should have at least acknowledged that we had received those emails. But,
Even a phone call.
and
From
without,
some, I mean,
And
and I
I
know the ones that did come in, they spoke about it, and they, as far as,
yeah.
I don't know if I should say this, but Mr. Weir said, it's like, you guys talk about stuff and it falls through the cracks, and a decision never gets made, and
Well,
I feel like.
We have to do it publicly,
And,
that's
and,
the
you,
key.
and you do, and I understand that.
And that's the hard part, is you can't give you a decision or give you a basis on anything in an email reply to some of those things because we can't do that unless we're here.
I guess I felt like it would have been just a
And so that's why I
courtesy
mentioned,
that I would have gotten a phone call saying, I'm so sorry you're going through this, let's come to a meeting and let's get this figured out.
and that's why I mentioned the additional appropriation. Like without that, we can't make a determination on anything because it's not actually been, we don't have it in front of us. We don't know
Right.
what the cost is. We don't know what you're looking at.
Now, the additional appropriation that I did today, I'm asking for 40,000 for a position. I've never had to fill out Social Security, Medicare, per life insurance, and insurance that I don't know this person will or will
What-
not take.
And that's normally something that we get on the backside, like that's the stuff that is done through the payroll and the auditor's office. So
Right.
even if you put that, we've already calculated, when we have the additionals and stuff, we do have that calculated out for anybody that does bring that.
Well, and that's where
And we did that
the
last month.
large
with the-
amount is coming from. I know you each should have this.
Yeah,
That's where that money's,
and
I'm not asking for that
the,
amount of pay
the
But
health,
that's what
ins-
it costs,
Yeah.
though.
if the person takes the insurance.
which that insurance cost actually comes out of the commissioner's court. It's also general fund, but it's in a different budget line item.
And I believe I've got the
So depending
budget
on
line numbers there.
if
that are correct.
there's enough in commissioner's court, you may not need that additional if you've already appropriated enough. It would just matter of how many employees at the time we're
And
on.
that is the max amount.
Right.
That's it, the max
And
amount if they take the insurance.
Realistically, we probably wouldn't appropriate that additional amount unless we got to the end of the year and we realized that the budget in the commissioner's court is running low. That one is hard to balance because people come and go, people take the insurance, they don't. So we do have a set amount in there. If it covers it, it covers it, and if it doesn't, then at that time, we would have to do the additional appropriation for the health insurance at towards the end of the year, if we realize we don't have enough to cover it.
And to be honest, I'm asking for the 40,000, but my office has never ran like other offices. I start my people out $3,000 less than what their total is. And that's one thing I told Ashley today, we spoke on the phone, and I don't think that she realized, and maybe you guys don't, my office does not get a vacation the first year they are here. It's after the first year. They do not receive 1 week's vacation until they are here an entire year with my office. And that's because we're under a different handbook. So I guess I'm just asking, I'm asking to see what you all think, what you feel, and what you would do for me.
So now we can talk about it. These are, I'll say, extenuating circumstances that we're kind of dealing with here. I think there's a lot of different ways to go about assisting a particular department. Full-time that she's asking for, part-time that she's not asking for, that she's not in favor of, contractor. There's a lot of different ways that we can make this department successful in this particular situation, but it's just how we go about it. And then keep in mind the future. I mean, we'll always have this question whether it's a full-time, lifetime so-called position, or is it just for 3 years until you go and then it's not there, but the next person probably bring it back up, well, it's always been there. I mean, I'm seeing that in several departments. Things change over the years and don't necessarily need, I'm just saying that.
Well, we need it.
Yeah, I know you do.
Our judge now
And-
does more work than any of our other judges ever
But
did.
I'll just say, in my former job, I had 8 employees. When I left, I had 3. Now, over time, computers do take away some of the need for the manual labor part of it, but on the flip side, then you have reports. But somebody's got to manage reports. So, you might lose 2 people because of this new computer system, but the next thing you know, you still need a half a person to do something else that the new system created. So we have to keep all of this in mind when technology comes around, and I don't know how all that affects your department, but
We have a lot of technology,
Yeah.
but that's a lot of our job.
yeah. But along with that thought process is, you don't want to have somebody in there and hire them full-time, and then 2 years ago, that you won't need them for whatever reason, and then you do away with that person or don't hire somebody back, so, or let them go. So I think we need to keep all of this in mind, but I personally do think that we need to figure out what we can do, especially during this election season, and there's others following.
We have 3 elections
Yeah,
coming.
how we're
down.
going to resolve this. And I will just say, we as your department, we as a council, and as far as I'm concerned, we as commissioners, I mean, this is a management decision here. How are we going to continue to not only fill your need, but I know the judge expressed some issues, Ron's expressed some issues, and I think prosecutors expressed some issues over time. So how do we,
That was one thing I did talk to Tammy with back in December, is the possibility of trying to share an employee, like especially after her employee came back from maternity leave. She explained to me today, I don't know if you want to explain it to everybody too, that
Yeah, I spoke with the judge. He's here tonight. He called the Indiana Supreme Court, and the Indiana Supreme Court told him that that cannot be done. The court is under judicial rules. They're under judicial laws. You want to speak on that? And they cannot be together because my office has different laws they follow than his office.
Chris Reed, Circuit Court Judge. I spoke with Heather Fawkes. Heather Fawkes is General Counsel for Administrative and Employment Issues dealing with the court. I spoke with her on this issue as far as sharing an employee. What you run into is, first and foremost, they said they'd never heard of that before. With over, close to 900 judges in the state of Indiana. They had never heard of that before. The thing that comes about is if an employee, if the judge is going to have an individual work for them as an employee, whether it's part-time, whether it's full-time, whether it's sharing, whatever it is, the court falls under the rules of judicial conduct, which no other county office falls under the rules of judicial conduct. And by statute, the court in those circumstances would be the overseer. The court would have to hire, the court would have to fire, the court would have all the responsibilities and the control for that individual, because any part of their being in the court, not just I have to follow the rules of judicial conduct, not just my family, but all my employees have to fall under the rules of judicial conduct. And if they violate one of those, or I see that they're violating one of those in any manner, then I have to take the appropriate actions up to and including firing them. So what happens is you run into the situation where you've got Tammy needing a position, I need a position, you've mentioned the departments that need a position here. Tammy comes in and needs this position, but if they're gonna be partly responsible for court, then I take all the authority away from her, and I'm the one that does the hiring and the firing under the rules of judicial conduct. And that is Indiana Code 334114. And then it also, and these are the codes that I looked at and also were cited to me by by the council, Falks with the Supreme Court, also falls under 334111. So it's not just a matter of, okay, I want that authority. It's by statute that it falls under the rules of judicial conduct. So,
I'm sorry.
no, go right ahead.
So you can share, but you would have to hire a person. Am I wrong?
First and foremost, I said they've never seen
Heard of
that
it.
before. or
But you
never
mentioned
heard of
the
it.
word sharing. That's the reason why I asked.
Well, and maybe I didn't use the word appropriate, but my understanding is, and what Ms. James mentioned there was somebody hired for the clerk's office and come over and working for the court part-time. As soon as that person were to come over and work under the court, they would be under the rules of judicial conduct, which means if I didn't like that person, or if they didn't follow the rules of judicial conduct, or they didn't meet the requirements in my office,
I don't have any authority.
Tammy has no authority. So once they come across, then it becomes that issue as far as that. And the other thing you run into as well, and I understand that it's difficult because to actually see it, and I invite anybody into Tammy's office or my office, this stuff that comes about, even though technology increases, would you say there's probably somewhere around 300 codes
Oh, yeah.
or
Probably
more that these people have to memorize? I've got a girl in there that's been in there for 2 years. She's very bright and she moves along and she's working hard. Now, she's also my court administrator, or my jury administrator, and my bailiff, so she doesn't work as much on the court reporting side. But she's been there 2 years and she is still learning the codes. I think Cheyenne's been there for a year, and Cheyenne is
Tammy.
still,
Tammy.
yeah, and still is learning
She's
the
still learning.
learning the codes, because the thing is you don't just sit down at the computer and do it again. I don't know the codes, but I see them come through. I mean, there's certain codes for orders, there's certain codes for motions, there's certain codes for motions in juvenile, motions in criminal, motions in probate, motions in guardianship.
Termination.
All those have certain orders. So the thing is to be able to bring somebody in part-time, it's gonna take a year to 2 years to even train it, to get an individual up to speed. And what you're also doing under those circumstances, and one of the things that Tammy mentioned, and one of the things that I've mentioned, I've requested the spot multiple times, and I'm not here for that, but I use this as an example. At those times which I've asked, and I know when Tammy's asked, there are certain people out there that you can bring in. People that have worked in the courts, people that have worked in the clerk's office before. And those opportunities are there, and if you don't have the opportunity to grab them, you're behind the 8 ball. Okay. And I don't know whether Tammy has somebody that's in that position now or not, but I can tell you the amount of money you save by bringing somebody in under those circumstances that understands at least because the clerk's office across the state of Indiana uses the same codes, the courts uses the same codes. If you can bring somebody in that has that ability and familiarity, and you don't have the opportunity to do it, that opportunity is going to be gone. I've lost 2 that I could have brought in that would have changed that because of the situation. What I'm saying is I don't know who Tammy's going to hire, but if she has somebody that can come in and take this job over and take it in and move at it, somebody that knows election, because believe me, the election aspect of it,
It's huge.
and I'm using this just from talking with Tammy and my wife that's been involved with elections through the clerk's office for umpteen years. That is a completely separate job, and you've got to follow it. It's kind of like juvenile cases. Everything is very code specific. Everything is very specific as to dates. And if you don't follow those, you're in trouble. With the election, if you don't follow that, and to bring somebody in to try to learn that.
It'd be difficult. And I did have somebody, do I still? I'm not sure. I mean, I had somebody that was interested, that she was very passionate about elections. I was ready to jump on it. I mean, this was in December when I talked to her. Do I know if she's still available and still interested? No, I don't. I'm praying that she is. If you guys give me this opportunity to have this position back.
I don't, I don't have a problem with the positions that are needed. I know Ron has expressed his interest, the judge, your office, and I believe that this county and every county in the state of Indiana should have enough employees to conduct its business in an efficient manner for the public. And the council has to decide how to pay for it. Now, I don't think any of the three requests are, you know, I don't know if any is a priority over any other. I think they're all equally important for the work that needs done. It does, based on these numbers, it does, you know, it's the council's duty to ensure that those positions receive compensation, that the taxpayers' money is being used to compensate these employees. And in my opinion, once you hire someone, I mean, I really don't see, I don't like to hire someone and say, you know, 3 years that, well, since Tammy's not gonna run for office or whatever, you're
Well,
fired.
that's the job though. I mean, you hire somebody and like my new girl, she's been there a year. She knows that in 28, somebody might run against me and she might lose her job. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
what
mean,
that's
but
what
I mean the
happened when
position,
Gracie
though.
took
I don't
over.
mean
She
like-
fired people. She fired people in there. I was the only one left that had worked with Amy Griffin,
I mean, I
and
suppose.
I did it because I had to keep my job.
Yeah, there's like an inherent risk in working in a political arena like the
Right.
courthouse. I mean, I don't know anyone that doesn't think that.
Right.
But I'm kind of talking about the position, the fourth deputy position, not necessarily a person, but
Right.
to,
I
you know, so
understand.
if someone gets, you know, voted out of office or changed or whatever, retires, and then the new person doesn't like somebody, whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
those
that's
posi-
not me, but I
honestly, the
don't want to get rid
positions
of it.
shouldn't be considered if, in my own, that's just my own opinion.
Yeah.
If somebody gets beat, those positions are there
Yeah,
to
but I
help the
think, you know,
public.
the office has, you know, the amount of work required is for positions, say.
Yeah,
And here's the thing, I don't work in the office, I have to trust department heads. I mean, I go in and I see things happening, I don't know what it is, and I don't ever want to pretend to know someone's job, because I've tried that before, and you know, it's usually wrong. I usually don't understand all the details behind what people do and how busy it is. And by the same token, you can have, you know, you could have 3 people that are 125% busy, they can't get it all done, and then there may be times when they don't have much to do. I'm not saying you're off, I'm just saying it varies, workload varies is what I'm trying to say. And so I would imagine that at no point in time do we want to fall behind or become delinquent or critical on
no,
our duties.
never.
Because some you can't. So, but by the same token, as a council member, it does represent $250,000 with 3 per. You know, at these numbers, you're looking at $250,000 a year in salaries, which goes up with raises and whatnot.
Just doesn't go away.
Right,
It's there.
right, yeah, and I don't want to hire people in positions and then later eliminate the positions. Not necessarily the person, but say, well, you know, it's for 3 years only, or what. I don't know. I mean. So I do agree that if the workload's there, it's warranted. If now we have to determine how do you do it.
Since we went to polling centers this year, we had left your budget intact as if we didn't do polling centers. And I have a note in my budget book that we were kind of waiting to see what the expected cost would be. But
But they did cut my election, what was it? My election equipment or election, what was it? It was 110. They cut it by 10,000.
yeah, which our 24, which would have been a major, like a big presidential election,
Right.
the cost was $53,003. So there's extra money in that line item.
And we have to remember,
And then-
we got brand new machines from Microvote. We got brand new machines from No Ink.
'Cause I
So
have-
that's a cost that still has to come out of that.
Because I have updating polling books is 26,100, and then microvote and other is 29,000. The polling books, it says the last updated in 2020. So
We've already got our new No Ink poll books,
you
but I haven't gotten the statement on to get it paid out yet.
How often do those get updated? Every 5 years or so? Six?
Probably every
So
5
we
years.
did
They're Apple.
6. Okay, I do have that Apple product written too. I'm just looking at other areas, like if there's other spots in the budget to help compensate for any kind of extra help, you know, to like offset the cost. I know the polling workers,
It's not a lot.
it's not a lot, but even if it's like $5,000, you know, less than what we had before, because we had what, 14 places, 17?
We had 17 precincts.
And now we have 5.
And now we're gonna have 7 vote centers, so
7.
we'd
Oh,
have
yes.
35 workers, not including our early voting centers, which will have 3 early voting centers that will have 2 to 3 people out each place.
Okay, yeah,
And that's a month's worth of work.
because I have 7 voting centers, 5 at each, plus maybe a few more, not sure. So realistically, though, we should have less cost in polling workers.
Yeah, we should.
So, I mean, there is some leeway there. I'm just looking at ways to offset some kind of,
Right.
you know, help of, but, so would this, after we do an election in this year, would it be, I guess, correct in saying that it would be more of an average cost at the max because we did replace everything? Like this election coming up would be like one of our more expensive ones just because we updated the books in it too.
Most likely that presidential elections are always a beast and they take a little bit more and they take, because I'm gonna be sending 5 machines to every vote center for this election. Our presidential elections, some of our bigger areas like Perrysville, they'll get 8.
Okay,
So
So-
it could differ
so we
some.
spent 53,000 in 2024, but we didn't update the books.
Correct.
Okay. But even if we updated the books and had the most expensive election, you're still looking at 79,000. So and we have 100 budgeted.
And I will just say this too, is part of our responsibility, maybe annually, you guys just look at your budgets annually, but we need to really look, I'll say 2 to 3 years down the road. I've been accustomed to looking 5 and 10 years down the road, what it's gonna cost. What are our future costs? And I've really tried to stress that to kind of to this group here a little bit, was we need to project what our costs are, so that way we can kind of tighten our budget, so that way we don't spend it all in 26 and don't have anything for 27, 28, because our costs do go up every year. And, you know, we just can't keep going to the taxpayer year after year, and we haven't been. That's the good thing, is we haven't been asking for additional from this group.
I don't think the taxpayers would have a problem making sure that our clerk's office works.
And that's not what I'm saying, is we do want an efficient government.
Yes,
We have to have an efficient government.
I agree with you.
But on the flip side, we have to retain our costs. So that's what Ashley, I think, is literally doing, is looking down the road, is how does this change here kind of affect that down there? And I think maybe we can offset $40,000 here if we continue to watch what we're spending.
And depending on who I get in, you know,
Right.
they might not want insurance. They might be like me and not take insurance.
Yeah, but we can't do the what if. We really have to look at the big picture.
Well, the amount of insurance, I've saved the county a lot of money over the.
But that's been
9
chewed up,
years.
though. That's what I'm saying too. That's been consumed by other departments,
Which is not good.
and or pay raises on an annual basis. I know through payroll, you know, I'm accustomed to looking at that separately than an operating budget. Nedra knows that, and got a kilowatt hour budget, got all kinds of things that go into the big pie. So you just have to look at a lot of different things, so. But if we are careful on what we spend in the future, I think we can kind of offset this a little bit, but that doesn't mean down the road that 4th position might be there. It may or may not. I'm not talking about individuals, but just that position as a whole. So, but we do need to get through this, I'll say, crisis here just a little bit.
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to look for, like I said, it's 3 positions really, the way I'm looking at it. I mean, I don't know that her position or the clerk's
That's the
position
way
would
I'm
be less
looking at it.
important than the court's position or the recorder or the auditor's position, excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
So-
here for the clerk's office
Yeah.
I
today.
understand.
But we're still
But
looking
we're
at the
gonna,
big picture.
we'll
I
be
know.
here
And this
for all
is our
three, so-
opportunity to discuss it in public like we're supposed to, so.
Yeah, and I'm not saying don't do one because there's two more. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But
We-
what I'm
we
saying
need
is
to
how
look
do
at
we
that
do all three?
whole-
I mean, if they're truly
And Chris
needed.
and I have been to you guys about this in the
Understand.
past.
Yep.
I mean,
Well-
that's why I would really like to know, one way or another, you know, whether you're going to approve it or not tonight, because I don't wanna leave here again tonight and not have an answer and wait a month or two, you know, and come back and have the same discussion again.
I think the issue at hand here tonight is, first of all, you go back to 22, 23, 24. Our court system here was doing very few cases.
Right.
I can understand why the council said, probably don't need the fourth candidate, probably don't need the position filled. But in 25, this caseload has just been tremendous. I, as the auditor, I'll be the first to say, yeah, I need help in my office, but given the circumstances and everything that's going on right now, the clerk's office, I put her above what I'm thinking or wanting to do or anything else. That I feel like we need to take care of business. I really do. I feel like the position needs filled. I don't mind putting mine on the back burner, doing whatever we gotta do. I know you're trying to look at all three places, but this needs taken care of. That's my thoughts and feelings on it. I don't mind trying to do other things in my job in order for her to get this position filled. So, I know the judge, he probably needs a position also, but he's probably thinking the same thing that I am here tonight.
This judge could mandate his position
How many positions do you have?
right now.
Do you have any extras? No, I'm talking to the
Oh,
auditor.
Ron.
Said you do anything. I'm just-
And I understand the training, I'm going through training again right now, and believe me, it's, if the person knows the job, like the judge was saying, you need to get them hired. Cause it is a problem, but don't, like I said, don't sit here and I know you're all gonna say, well, there's three places, we're not trying to leave them out. I'm just saying tonight as a whole, my whole thought goes to the clerk's office, let's get it taken care of, you know.
Chris Reed, Circuit Court Judge. To kind of go along with what Ron is saying, there's the workload that we have is increasing, but right now, Tammy is in a crisis. Okay, and you know it's time. Our employees are the backbone of this county. Our elected officials are the backbone of this county. And right now, if Tammy needs this position, I go along with Ron. And I'm not saying I'm not going to come back and keep coming back for that position, because you'll get tired of me.
We know you will.
I mean, you get tired of me. And each thing I put forward in that is, I don't come to you with false numbers. I don't come to you with false ideas. I come to you with a lot of research into what I'm doing. But right now, if you can't help out a fellow office holder, like Ron has agreed to do, and I will do as well, then there's something wrong. And so Tammy needs this position. She's coming up on an election. And as you can see from what's out there, there is going to be a lot of stuff going on in this election. Tammy needs this position. And first and foremost, in the order of things, I will back the council on supplying her with that position. That's all I got.
Thank you, Judge.
As we've talked about at the beginning of the conversation, the additional appropriation is in the auditor's office. However, it does need the 14-day. So that would take it to our March meeting, which is cutting it a little close, because I think one of your One of your
My
deputies is leaving in
girl's,
March.
she's due March 17th, and she's already measuring at 36 weeks, so she's probably going in February.
Can we go ahead and advertise tomorrow and have a special meeting on this?
That still puts us at almost March.
I'll say one other thing. Chris Reed from Maine Circuit Court Judge. I'll say one other thing. As I've said before, if you're trying to find the money to get the money so Tammy can have this position, there was a amount put in my budget, as I've stated, and Ashley, you and I talked about this in there, and what Ron was in there with us as well. The part, you put money in my part-time, for me to have a part-time position. Part-time don't work, okay, I'm sorry, it just doesn't, in getting them the training and stuff like that. So if you need to look for some money appropriated on that, I'm willing to work with you on the money that you put in to my overtime. Now, I'm gonna be coming back here in March, and I'm got on the agenda for March, there's a couple things that I'm gonna deal with in March. One of them is technology, the other is stipend. But I'll tell you right now, if you can't find the money, I think there's 23,000 or 20-some thousand, 20-some thousand, okay? If you guys are looking for the money right now to help her out, to get this done before she loses another employee on maternity leave, then go and take it out of my budget, okay? Take it out of that overtime. So now,
Thank you.
you know, the money's there.
And that's what this requires right now, is everybody understanding, I think teamwork is necessary. And that's I guess what I'm proposing is, I think we got a lot of answers here through this discussion. I appreciate everybody stepping forward. I think we can so-called scratch a little bit here and scratch a little bit there, and I still would live within our budget. And that's what we need to do, is learn to live within our budget. So I think for 2026, we got that covered. And I'll figure out 27, 28, but you know, I don't know whether we want to make a motion, but I'm willing to make a motion that we go ahead and fill this position. And I'll leave it to Tammy's discretion, whether it's a contractor, which I think we need to look at, or maybe a full-time position, but I'd like to have more discussion on that too.
Well, is the position hasn't been there for a few years, is it because it should be there all the time, or is it just
It should be
because of
there
the
all the time.
situation?
Yeah, it's.
That's things
it's-
filling
Well,
it
the
for
previous
now, or-
person
It-
didn't really want to fill it, if you
Gracie,
recall, yeah.
Gracie did not do her job. And she went through 6 different deputies in the 3rd deputy position. She would hire, she would fire, she would hire, she would fire. And that 4th deputy position, she never put in place. And then I took over, and I was slammed with a city election right off the bat. I didn't have time to hire somebody right then. As soon as I could, I hired somebody for that 3rd deputy position as soon as I could in 24. That person didn't work out. So it was very difficult for me to hire a 4th deputy position when I'm dealing with a 3rd deputy position that wasn't working. In 25, I hired someone else, and she's worked out amazingly. I'm able to train someone to come in and do what they need to do. And this woman that I had previously spoke with, she has the judicial knowledge, she has the election knowledge. And if she's still available, it would benefit us tremendously.
We can still get that around the 27th.
I mean, Scott, how's that work?
2 weeks now, has to be uploaded. And,
I mean, we can't, since there is no money.
there's no appropriation to pay somebody. Commissions.
If you had it as a contract, there's still no appropriation for that either.
you know, and they're not gonna be a contract employee practically. So,
Yeah, because you got too many like jobs.
I think in theory, you could do well, I don't make it. There's whatever, 40,000 for the third day. That's for the full year, right? You don't need a full year right now. Isn't it? So you could do like a transfer of whatever, 2 weeks worth down to.
Can I transfer the judges out from the
You can
circuit
transfer
court
between departments.
without having to do the additional?
Yeah, without doing an additional, you don't have to advertise for additionals. As soon as you can prove an additional would be 15, 16 days from now, because you have to.
Because technically, like the Social Security, Medicare, PERF, life insurance, all that comes out of
Commissioner's Court.
Commissioner's
Right.
Court too. So, yeah, those amounts would need added to that, but they wouldn't have to be added right away. Because there's money there to pay it, it would just run short, basically.
And nothing would be official, there would not be an official fourth deputy until, well, there might be, but it would not have very much money for it. But you'd have to come back to get additional later on. If that was not accrued, then it would,
You want 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So,
well, you got.
I know what
Yeah,
I'm
they'd
saying.
be out of a job after 2 weeks.
No, I mean, now you work 2 weeks anyhow, when the money goes out anyhow.
I guess that's where I feel like I need to know how you all feel on this.
So instead of 40,000, if you roughly take the 40,000 divided by the 52 weeks, we're about 6 weeks into the year, so that's 6 weeks that you won't need it. We're looking at 35.5 around there, roughly, instead of 40.
If it doesn't transfer to the judge, so go ahead.
Would it be paid in an hourly rate as 40?
Yeah, except
Yeah,
the only ones that
fine.
aren't paid out of hourly rate are first deputies. So, 40,000 would be $19.23.
Stop that, whole special meeting. Would still need a whole special. meeting.
No, I mean, you could probably write one up. Since you said that you really want to do it.
Give me the paper.
Unusual.
I have one more thing to talk about, but you can write it. I mean, that would be the options, either to have a special meeting with an additional, have an additional in March. I don't have the salary resolution though updated.
Transfer within early in the year.
I don't-
We transfer 2,500.
Just to cover.
Just to cover 2 weeks until you could
I don't
come
know,
back.
exam by court appointed physician. Well, that's wrong budget. I'm back in your budget, sorry. I pulled that one up to Booker overtime. Here I am transferring more money.
What
me go back
would
to
you
the
do
clerk.
if this lady or person, I don't know who it was, wasn't interested in that? Yeah,
I've got several resumes
okay.
from before.
So it's not a dead end,
I know,
okay.
I'm not sure where we transferred from.
I can call, yeah, I can call and find out.
I could transfer it out of election supplies.
I mean, anything you're,
Yeah, yeah.
Can I go
because
from,
ultimately, this is just, you're just doing it, this is.
Temporary.
Temporary until,
So you can
the
take it out of
additional goes
what's in
through.
there for the elected official. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. You put 2,000 down there, that gets you 2 weeks of it, then you do an additional later on, and you do a transfer back to the 2,000.
right.
Since the fourth deputy position exists in the budget.
There isn't a fourth deputy in the salary.
Right.
We would need to come, we can fix that at your next meeting. On the record,
That doesn't affect the timing.
not really.
I mean, as long as we better, but
We
like, kind of like we
The paperwork would have
retroactive
to
back
get
to.
caught up at either your regular meeting in March, or if you wanted to do a special meeting. That last week of February.
Let's see, next meeting. March 9th, exactly 4 weeks.
Look for this one.
Tammy, you can probably set if you need to set a little bit. You've been standing a long time.
We need probably
Or you can set here
3,000
and I'll set it.
transfer. divided by 2080 is 1923 an hour. Times that by 40 times 4 weeks, $3,077. However, there is the stipulation that for the first, 2 weeks at least, they're paid 3,000 less. So 3,100 would definitely cover 4 weeks. Let's see. That's if
we choose to do that.
if you're going full-time. That's the first decision.
What's the first decision?
If it's gonna be full-time position or not, and then the second one, decision, if it is full-time, then we can transfer basically 3,100 from somewhere in her budget to that 4th deputy spot. And then basically correct it at the March meeting with an additional appropriation.
I don't think there's any other option besides full-time, if I'm understanding the conversation we've had in the past and today, so.
I don't have current numbers, but how's your postage look?
We're good, but with the election, we've got absentee ballots gonna be going out, so I mean,
Okay.
that increases.
Or you could say we could take it out of your line item for now, and then just replace it.
I'm of the opinion we need to fill this position. If we can do it tonight, then it's the way to go, and then I'm in favor of taking it out of that budget item and moving it over just to cover so-called the next 4 weeks, and then March meeting, we correct the salary ordinance.
So is that a motion to?
Yes, that's
place-
what I'm basically trying to get out.
Okay. So that's a motion to add a 4th deputy to the clerk's budget with the intended amount of being 40,000 a year, with the stipulation of doing a transfer to cover the cost for that 4th deputy until an additional appropriation in March.
Yeah, and I'm still
Don't
of
ask me
the
to repeat all that.
opinion that, on an annual basis, we need to discuss that. I'm not saying that it's not needed in the future, but I want you to fight for that position.
I fought for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been fighting for it, and
So-
I won't quit.
But I think in this situation, we need an additional individual for a period of time.
So I have that
This
motion
year, for sure.
from Rick. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
All right. And then, Ron, can you get a transfer sheet and we'll write that transfer up real quick? And then, so I have a motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mr. Bose, to add the 4th employee into the clerk's budget with an anticipated cost of $40,000 a year. With the intention of doing a transfer this evening for enough to cover the first 4 weeks of employment and an additional appropriation in March to complete those,
For the rest of the year.
yes, complete the
So
rest.
I can start the interview process.
Let me call for a vote first.
We're trying to do this appropriately.
All right, is there any further discussion?
So once year 2 comes, we're going to have to look at everything.
Yeah.
I guess at that point, or this fall, we'll be examining all
Right.
points and corners of the budget we would anyway, but I'm just saying
Right.
that.
We need to,
Yeah. It's gonna have to rebalance. It always does, but.
Right. we just need to do what we've been doing, do it diligently, and ask everybody to bring it in there and fight for it in September. Ask for it and be ready to prepare whys and why nots. So, and then we'll have a good discussion then too.
Okay.
But I think at this point in time, this is critical that we jump forward on this, and if we can do it tonight, I think it's to our interest, best interest as a county.
So I have a motion for Mr. Weir, second for Mr. Bose, for the motion as stated. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no.
No.
All right, it is approved. I think Ron is trying to get us a blank transfer form, and then we will transfer, I say 3,100. Yes, 3,100. In the meantime, is there any public comment until we get that? We'll kind of skip around and come back to it, if that's okay. Any public comment this evening? I have one actually for the Parks Board. That was something we discussed at the last meeting. We've determined that the two positions that we had available should be staggered. Back in 4 years ago, we also voted according to our minutes of our meeting. We put them both in at the same time. So this has been an ongoing problem. Scott is preparing a document for us to correct that. The decision is to keep Mr. Zumwalt's position for an extended 2 years. So that leaves us with one position to appoint for 2026 on a 4-year term. Since we are going from 2 to 1, I know the council would like to offer those applications to be extended until March. So that way we can get any feedback from anyone or any other further questions before we go ahead and make that appointment. If you've already applied, your application is still valid. If you would like your application withdrawn, please notify us. If you would like us to remove you from the appointment, but we do have one seat for reappointment on the Park Board. The other one will be extended for 2 years to begin that stagger, as it should have been from, I'm not sure when it got messed up. So please contact us if you have questions. And then, want me to address this?
Sure.
Okay, at the last commissioners meeting, the Perrysville Volunteer Fire Department brought up the issue of owing them money. We do owe them money. We are not in disagreement with that. I just wanted to highlight some of the decisions that went into our original agreement on that. So back on June 18th, 2024, there was a joint meeting held between the commissioners and council. It's a rather lengthy meeting at 1 hour and 38 minutes in total time. So I went through the meeting, I made some notes of it. This is how we believe, well, this is how it went, it's not how I believe. There was conversations at that time. When we met at that joint meeting, there had been a previous commissioners meeting where they had asked the council to fund a house in Cayuga. That house had not had an inspection on it. They brought it to us. However, their options at the time, I believe, were the Perrysville option or the house. 2 of the commissioners voted to do the house. They brought it to the council. The council then funded to purchase the house. After we decided to fund the house, that house had the inspection done and there were some major problems, and we realized that we were going to put in a lot of money to fix those problems. It also did not have a garage that was big enough to house the ambulance, so we were going to have to fix either garage or build a new one. And we were doing this transfer in July to where it needed shade. And in short time after that, he was going to need heat for the winter. We had a joint meeting to discuss options. At that joint meeting, we ended up taking the money that we had approved for the house in Perrysville. At no time, at that given time, those were the 2 options on the table. I'm sorry, not house in Perrysville. It was either the Perrysville Firehouse or it was the house in Cayuga. It says there was at that joint meeting, we had a discussion on the Perrysville option for temporary ambulance station, either the house in Cayuga that didn't have the heated garage and needed the work done. The consensus at that time was also to begin work constructing a new ambulance site at North Vermillion. So we didn't want to put all of that extra money into the house when we knew it was going to be a temporary solution. It was brought to us that Perrysville had offered to use some of their lit money. That is the money that we distribute to the fire departments. They were offering to use $25,000 of that towards construction cost if we would fund the other $25,000 to provide the construction. At the 25-minute and 40-second mark, RJ spoke about bringing Brent Lewis to the commissioners before they voted on the Cayuga House. He also mentioned $50,000 for innovations and using the lit money for half of it. Brent confirmed they had a contractor that would have it available in July, and that Perrysville is still an option on the table. So that's where we started discussing options besides that house. At the 27-minute mark and 32nd, Mr. Brent Lewis states that he told Neil and I told Neil and I told RJ we'd be willing to forego a part of our lit money to do this. There again, Perrysville had offered to use some of their lit money. At around the 28-minute mark, Mr. Somerville asked what they'll be doing with the $50,000. It was stated that a new HVAC on the side of the building, 2 bedrooms, living quarters, shower, bathroom, electrical, and plumbing work. At the 33-minute mark in the meeting, I asked about monthly expenses, and at 33 minutes and 30 seconds, I clarified that our expenses would be the increase they incur for utilities, that's Perrysville Station. Mr. Lewis replied yes, and also mentioned minimal insurance increase as well. I then state not additional rent, but enough to cover additional expenses that occur. Brent shook his head yes and replied yes as well. We go on to discuss that eventually North Milan would be a great location. Around the 1 hour and 18-minute mark, there is a mention for additional money. We did take the additional amount that, at that time we talked about it. We ended up taking we had $150,000 that we had previously approved for the house in Cayuga. We voted at the end of the meeting to reappropriate that money into different funds. Instead of purchasing the house, it went for a motion of $95,000, $50,000 for building renovations at the Perrysville Station, $5,000 for furnishings to buy beds and dressers, whatever, couches, whatever they needed, $10,000 for utilities with the expectation that we would reimburse them for their utilities that they incurred, any increase in those, also the insurance, and $30,000 for supplies for both stations, because at that time we had the Clinton and the Perrysville Station to buy, Band-Aids, medicines, things like that both stations needed. So there was money set aside for reimbursement of all those things. Rick mentions at the 1 hour and 26 minute about the specified length of time. Commissioner Donovan says 6 months to a year. He says temporary because we weren't really sure at that time. He asked if Perrysville was on a time crunch, and they said they were not worried about the time. The commissioners voted then to approve the Perrysville solution. Mr. Yoakum and Mr. Donovan approved it. Mr. Luther abstained from voting, and then preceding that, the council then formally voted to appropriate the money as I stated before. Then I have a message. I have a personal message on July 10th stating that I had spoke with the auditor. She had spoke with Mr. Lewis about getting reimbursement. He was supposed to turn in the invoices, and that once the invoice was received, a check would be cut on July 19th for the furnishings. However, the auditor's office did not receive the invoice for the furnishings. I believe they submitted it to us at this point. So we did have money set aside originally to reimburse that. The county cannot just cut checks without actual documentation. And so if no documentation was received, there were no checks cut. There again, we do owe them money. Because the only check that was actually cut for any of this was $48,700 in December of 2024, and that was for the renovations, the completion of the construction. So as far as an agreement, we do not have a contract for rent. I know they mentioned the $1,500 rent. That is what we pay Clinton City. However, I know during our budget hearings, we appropriated money for every other rent and contract that we have currently. We do not have a contract for that amount, so we did not budget for a contract. I would like to suggest that maybe we can sit down with the commissioners in Perrysville and sort this out, so that way we can pay them what we need to pay them. Like I said, we've never gotten an invoice from them for additional amounts of insurance. I know current auditor and former auditor have both talked to them about trying to submit things. This is the first time we've gotten some papers besides the construction cost. So we will like to get them paid what we owe them. Is anybody opposed to trying to have a meeting with commissioners in Perrysville so we can get this situated? I mean, they've been great. We appreciate their help when we've needed it, and we do want to be good stewards, but as far as a total amount, I'm not sure what that amount is yet. So I would like to suggest maybe a couple of us meet so we can get that figured out.
Well, I likewise want, and I also realize that we need to reimburse them for their expenses, but for their expenses only. I mean, this wasn't a for-profit venture here. This was, you know, whatever they incurred, we were going to try to we weren't going to try. We were going to reimburse them for their expenses
Right.
for allowing us to have the ambulance service there. So yes,
The meeting's on YouTube. It was a joint commissioner council on June 18th, 2024, in case anybody needs to refresh on it or wants to look at it. But yeah, we did not pay Clinton construction cost. Their building was already constructed, and so we paid them rent. So it's a little different, but I would like to see that we can work this out somehow and get it taken care of.
There's an issue with rent, you say?
It was mentioned at the commissioners meeting that they wanted to pay them rent money at $1,500 per month. But we never had that in the budget. We don't have a contract. It was never mentioned to us at budget hearing, so we did not budget for that at all because we didn't know that was even a thing that was being talked about.
Or even that June meeting. they said
No,
there
the
was
June
rent.
meeting, we were under the understanding that we were paying additional amounts of insurance and utilities. And that's why we had to put money in for those kinds of things and paying for the furnishings. But, I mean, I'm not sure.
that's the way I understood it too.
So the
But
money's
we
not
do
in the
need to
budget.
have the meeting, and we do need to sit down and work through this, because I feel they are due money, but how
Yes.
much, I have no clue.
I have no doubt that we owe them money. All right. Oh,
And that amount of money is in relation to the construction costs and utilities, et cetera.
I think the construction cost, looks like they most of them. They
Okay.
the construction costs we paid.
Yeah.
They submitted that final invoice of 48.7, which we did originally say we would split that, and so we probably owed them a little bit money because
We would,
it wouldn't have been 25 exact. So basically,
If-
they took 25. We didn't split it 50-50.
There you go. I
Paper?
don't know if this is,
All right,
hopefully we're gonna
let me-
so we
May
just,
be right.
we split it 50-50, and then the difference between what they paid and the 50-50 amounts, some amount we would owe, say. A few $1,000,
$650.
whatever, yeah, $1,000, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are.
15. Okay, but, so no one's opposed. About having the meeting, trying to schedule a meeting with.
I'm not opposed to having a meeting.
Okay,
We need to have a meeting.
all right.
I'm not opposed.
All right.
We need to sort it out, we need to do that.
It looks
We
right.
need to do that.
Okay. All right, I have the additional fund, the additional, no, it's not additional, transfer of funds. Can't read.
Was we good on the amount?
Yes. What's that? I think so, based on 4 weeks.
Almost put 4 down, just wanted to make sure we had enough.
I think we'll be okay, but, because by the time she would hire someone, pay them a little bit less for the first few weeks, and then, because that was 4 weeks.
Okay.
And do I need to come back in March for the additional appropriation?
Um,
I mean.
I don't
you've
think
got
she
the
would have to be
paperwork.
present.
She wouldn't have to be present,
There
but
would
we
have to
need
be
to,
the documentation.
we need to do the rest of the work.
On the paperwork that you have, is that good, or do I need to read?
We can scratch that other stuff out. Ultimately, change or reduce it. I mean, I was asking, we have this in front of us now, I was confused all night because
I mistakenly put January instead of February. I said, I'm not So I apologize for that.
This just needs to be uploaded along with the other requests, and it can be, voted on it's the maximum amount requested, so at the meeting in March, you can reduce that down to what it needs to be and take out those other line items.
And then the other will get put back into my elected.
So we can go and advertise tomorrow.
We'll figure it all out then, but yeah, basically.
You gotta do less and do less.
Yeah, when you advertise it, I would just advertise 31,000 or 3,100 for elected official. Like, it'll all come from general fund, so you don't have to break it down. But on the additional appropriation form, you'll have actually elected official 3,100 and then fourth deputy for the remaining amount, which it won't necessarily need to be 40,000 total because you're
We're
already,
already in the thing,
yeah, you'll be into March already. So we'll just need to prorate that amount for the rest of the year.
Are you, are you just gonna do this, you're just gonna do this as your regular?
Yeah. Yeah, because this transfer will be enough for 4 weeks, the full amount, which, I mean,
So, we go ahead and hire.
our next meeting's 4 weeks from today, so that'd be hiring someone tomorrow.
Exactly.
And
that's,
Yeah.
gonna be very unlikely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hopefully gonna get a hold of her tomorrow and be able to get her in for the interview and see exactly what she knows. And hopefully, we'll hire her.
Okay. I have, our last transfer for this evening is in the amount of $3,100, is transferring $3,100 from the elected official in the clerk's office to the fourth deputy in the same amount of $3,100. So, is there a motion for the transfer?
Yes, I make that motion.
Do I have-
Second.
Okay. I have a motion for Mr. Weir, a second for Mr. Bose for $3,100 transfer in the clerk's office in the general fund from the elected official to fourth deputy. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. All right, the transfer is approved. All right, and we'll get with Ron to get that. All right, that is the end of all the things I have. Does anyone else have anything for public comment?
Is there anything here with economic
RJ.
development, RJ Solutions?
No, because we don't have that additional yet.
I can say I
That's
don't
just
see
what-
anything, but, okay,
That's just the,
just the information.
Does
Yeah.
anyone
So what happened?
know if the ambulance station is complete?
No, I was gonna try to stop in today, but I did not have an opportunity to do that. I have driven by, it looks like there's some work being done, but I couldn't tell you what, or the extent of it.
Okay.
I will make an attempt to visit.
Yeah, I'm gonna visit also. I don't know what day, but
Okay, I'll let you know.
I'll be stopping by.
Okay, I'll send a text. Maybe I can set something up for early next week. Give everybody time.
okay. Anyone else from the public? No?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Meeting's adjourned.